We're back, and I want to extend a very special welcome to our next guest. His name is Dr. Sayo Ajiboye. He is what I call a foreign born American patriot. And as part of our series of profiles of such people, I'm very pleased to have him with us. His day job is as the president of Mission Africa International, a very important effort based here in the United States to help people, notably in his native land, Nigeria. But before we get to Nigeria, what's happening there, and why it should matter to the rest of us, I did want to just ask Dr. Shayo to talk a little bit about his experiences in coming to the United States and in developing the passionate love I know he feels for this country, its freedoms, as well as his concerns about the perishability of those freedoms. Dr. Shayo, welcome back to Securing America. It's good to have you with.
Thank you very much. I feel greatly honored. I appreciate you.
The honor is ours.
Mm.
Let me ask you about that experience that brought you to this country in the first place and has helped you become such a passionate champion of America, and why you are concerned about the future of our country.
I came to this country as a graduate student. Um, from being a graduate student, we had children. My country, from where I came, was a reasonable place, if I can use that language, to live. And I never, for the life of me, thought of emigrating. But right before my eyes, I saw the breakdown of freedom. You know, the things we took for granted, the lives that was bequeathed to us as a people, the joys that we had to move freely, to associate freely, to um, go and come. I saw all of that break down gradually under Islamic jihadism. First of all, through
In You're talking about Nigeria now,
Nigeria.
your experiences
First
there.
of
Yeah.
all, in covert action, and then in overt action. And while I witnessed that, I also was witnessing the amazing story called the United States of America. They From sea to shiny sea, I was privileged to actually drive right across this country as a graduate student from St. Louis, Washington University in St. Louis to New Jersey, and from St. Louis to Seattle, and from St. Louis to Los Angeles. Amazing place, impossible to describe if you're coming from another clime. The resilience of the builder, the vision of the people that made this country, the freedom to move without, um, when people raise specters that divide us. That wasn't my experience of America. My experience of America was this amazing acceptance, amazing opportunity, and it made me to honor this place deeply and to want to defend what it represents and to stand against anything that will cause it to become like what it should not be.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I've been so touched by both your friendship as well as your leadership, and why I wanted to share it with our audience. I thank you for those expressions of deep commitment to this country and your call to all of us, I think, to protect it as you have sworn to do yourself. Let me turn now to Nigeria, though. You talked about jihad taking place in your native land. The consequences of that jihad are now unmistakable, and yet we've been told both by the government there and by our own government under, I'm sorry to say, both the Trump and Biden administrations, that it's not jihad. There's just this struggle between different communities, farmers on the one hand, typically Christian, and herdsmen, Fulani, typically tribesmen, generally Muslim, on the other. Level set with us, if you would, Dr. Sayo Ajiboye, about what is actually happening in Nigeria now, what's been happening for some time, but how severe the problem has become just in the past year or two.
Well, pretext, and narratives, something we are now used to hearing in the American context. The Nigerian government and the leadership are committed to a narrative that does not represent what is on the ground. And they sell this narrative to the world. And because they have all the paraphernalia of government, they have hijacked essentially judiciary, economy, politics. They have hijacked the treasury, the resources of a nation. They have everything with which to pursue this narrative. Unfortunately, the good American people that the people looked up to, the people really looked up to United States of America as an arbiter for good. All of a sudden, it began facing its own challenge, and defining truth becomes really problematic. And this issue of jihadism just went from bad to worse. Call it what it is. It is jihadism. Even this last week, there was still attempt to take over land, and people were killed. 100 uh, houses burnt in one village right beside the village where I work. So I'm not talking about somewhere far, far, far. I'm talking about something that is very, very close to me and to my team. 100.
So, when you have experienced these problems, or your colleagues, your uh, students that you have been nurturing have been subjected to these sorts of attacks, uh, both raids of various kinds and trying to drive people off the land, and in some cases kidnapping, in others outright murder. Um, what has the government of Nigeria been doing to
Zero.
protect these
Nothing.
people?
Nothing. Nothing. I have been involved with
How
this.
could that be?
I have been involved in this now for multiple years. I do not know of one arrest. Villages have been sacked, homes have been destroyed. I'm not talking about one or two or three. I'm talking of whole communities wiped off because people who are trying to impose an emirate, a jihadist proposition. Whole state have been left uninhabitable because the people are implementing a zero option. In 2022, they're trying to clear the place so that they can repopulate it. People have been,
It's religious cleansing, I guess one
it
might say,
is,
isn't it?
it
And
is up.
the government is reportedly there in Nigeria actively helping in some cases the Fulanis, perhaps because Fulanis populate the government at the highest levels. Is that contributing to this? Would you say, sir?
That is what we believe, that Fulanis are critical in the government of Nigeria. every critical position in Nigeria is held by Fulani. In a country of over 300 million people, a people group that is less than 10 million people, less than 10 million, or maybe between 10 and 15 million, have captured the power and held all the other ethnic nationalities hostage. And the attempt, either from the left or from their right, is to build an Islamic emirate on the land of Nigeria.
Yeah. And in the course of it, to drive the Christians from that land and perhaps force them out of the country altogether or into terrible privation in the southern parts of the country that have not yet been as afflicted as the northern and middle belt parts. But the trouble is, as you know better than anybody, Dr. Shayo, in the absence of there being any penalties for this behavior, to say nothing of it being effectively rewarded by the government on the one hand, and by the taking of property and the taking of the land and so on, uh, by those perpetrating this jihad, it is going to get worse. And this is a microcosm of what's happening, as you know so well, sir, to Christians around the world. And we're focused on this as an issue, and we will be coming back to you for more about what's happening in Nigeria and what we can do to help. In the meantime, thank you for your time today, Dr. Sayo Ajiboye. God bless you. Keep up your great work at missionafricainternational.org.